Hey guys, welcome back to Deadman 1010, and well, you've heard the news just like I have, and every other wrestling fan and wrestling YouTuber and then some has heard. The WWE, after exactly nearly 14 years, you heard me correctly, 14 years, are actually switching back from a PG era and a PG show to the TV14 era slash show. So, yeah, that's literally what they're doing as of yesterday with a message that got tweeted out by Andrew something or another, but still, that's of yesterday, and it will be going on onwards from July 18th with Monday Night Raw, and yeah, so basically, yeah, apparently Monday Night Raw is going to be the only thing affected by this, but we shall see, obviously, overall, and yeah, so basically, in that situation, yeah, so from July 18th onwards, that's basically what it's going to be. So we got kicking in with Ross's video to basically discuss about this situation a little further, basically.
What's good, y'all? It's your boy Ross back at it again with another video. So, you guys have been just bombarding me with tweets, Instagram DMs, and even messages on YouTube while we was live streaming. You guys were typing in the chat that the PG era is over in WWE. We're gonna talk about it, man. Appreciate everyone that hit me out. Appreciate everyone that was letting me know. Y'all know I was gonna make a video about this. We're gonna be checking out an article from BleacherReport.com. WWE rumors Raw to have a TV14 rating.
Yeah, I didn't exactly put this tweet, but I put in a message on my Discord server. So if any of you guys are on my Discord server right now, you can obviously take a gander at that at your own leisure, and it basically reads how well. It basically reads what it says on the tin. It basically reads that WWE are apparently switching to a PG-14 product on Monday Night Raw starting July 18th. That's basically what it says, but in basic terms anyway. That's not exactly what I said, but still, it's in basic terms. So I put that out on my Discord server. I basically put it in the WWE stuff. So if any of you guys are on my Discord server, then be sure to take a gander at that, because that's information that you're gonna want to know. So and especially if you're a wrestling fan, obviously. So yeah, so I put that out on. I basically put it on my Discord server and all that jazz, and yeah. So here's what the message basically states: WWE rumors Raw to have a PG-14 rating starting July 18th was previously PG. So obviously we were previously in the PG era, so that basically stands for parents guidelines and all that jazz, apparently. I didn't know that until like recent times, but either way.
Starting July.
Either way, it was definitely presented as a family friendly product. That's what they were going for the past 14 years, and don't get me wrong, there's still been occasions where they've gone a little over the edge, but for the most part, they've wanted to keep it family friendly. So, yeah, and that was all because of the Chris Benoit tragedy that happened in 2007. So basically, 14 years ago at this point. But yeah, so that's obviously what they wanted to do.
18th, which was previously PG. Let's get right into this one, man. WWE Monday Night.
So here's the actual tweet that Andrew Zarin, or whatever the hell his name is, sent out. So it basically states, starting July 18th, WWE Raw will have a TV-14 rating moving forward on the USA Network. The PG era is well, it's over. End of an era. Shebang. Boom. Done. Go home. Be happy. That kind of thing. So there you go. That's basically what it says.
Night Raw is set to shift from a TV PG rating to a TV 14 rating, starting on July 18th, according to the Wrestling Observer Andrew Zarian. Starting July 18th, this is his Twitter. WWE Raw will have a TV 14
Yeah, this was tweeted out on Twitter, in case you didn't know, by the fact that I said tweeted. But anyway, moving on.
rating. Moving forward on the USA Network, the PG era is over. Raw, which airs on the USA Network, has been rated TV PG since 2008, July 2008, per Kane a night of cage side seats. Since then, the company has attempted to become more family friendly by catering towards a
As we,
younger
of course,
audience
were
and
alluding to
avoiding
a little
any
bit ago.
instances of extreme violence and blood. WWE has openly criticized its competitor AEW for a match earlier this year, saying what occurred was gory self mutilation. The shift to TV 14 rating could lead to a return of edgier programming similar to what
Yeah, it could lead to that, but I don't think it's going to be necessarily similar than the Attitude Era. I mean, it will be kind of like that, but you really, really can't create that because, as people will tell you who were actually growing up in that era, it was once in a lifetime. And obviously, I know, the key heartbeats of the Attitude Era, all the big stuff like Undertaker throwing Mick Foley, aka Mankind, off the Hell in a Cell structure and damn near killing him. I obviously know the heartbeats of the Attitude Era and, that and all that other stuff, but obviously, if you were living in that time frame of the 90s when the Attitude Era was happening, once in a lifetime is probably what a lot of people that grew up in that era were thinking in my mind, probably, because that because you can't really recreate something like that. So saying that obviously the thingy, saying that obviously it'll be like the Attitude Era will be like saying it'll be basically like saying uh, it'll be basically like saying I don't even know what, but it'll be basically like saying Rain isn't as crazy as Thunder because well it isn't, but in any case like then I don't think they're really gonna be able to like capture the magic like full on what happened in the Attitude Era because well people cancelling people will happen at the drop of a freaking hat, like literally. So there's that. Plus, things are handled much more differently anyway in the real world these days. And then you've also got the fact that obviously people that actually grew up in that era will basically tell you that the 90s, well, had no filters whatsoever, basically. Had no guidelines, had nothing. I mean, I can't really tell you that because I didn't grow up in the 90s, but I know a fair few people that did that could probably say that to you. So, there you go. But, point is, I don't think they're going to be able to capture the magic as much as they obviously did back then, but I do feel like this will be very, very beneficial to the superstars and the storylines. Very, very beneficial. And therefore, it it's going to be like one of those like slow burning master classes basically where like things will change over time over the weeks and things will gradually get more and more interesting, more and more better hopefully as the weeks roll on with Monday Night Raw. So therefore that's basically how that's going to go. I have a feeling if obviously if they actually want it to go well, I have a feeling that's going to be how it goes if WWE think about it logically, because you can't really go back to something like that just willy nilly, head on, and everything. Like you gotta try and ease back into it, kind of, you know. So yeah, while I don't think they're going to be able to capture the magic like they used to back in the day, even from my perspective, and definitely from somebody else's perspective who was growing up in that era of time, they'll at least be able to capture like the tiniest bit of it and give that edgy effect. They'll more than likely be able to capture the thrill and the energy of the ruthless aggression era, but not the attitude era, because that was a different animal, as people will tell you who grew up in that era.
Was seen during the Attitude Era of the late 1990s. However, time will tell whether or not that shift would produce more compelling storylines that will draw in more fans each week. And that last sentence is what we really needed.
Yeah, this is going to be really, really the homing point of this video. That last sentence that was said in that kind of pinned message on Twitter. So we'll play more of Ross's video to really, really get an idea of what that message was.
Discuss. Now, I am definitely happy that we're going back to a TV14 radio, which hopefully in turns means we will get more adult themed storylines. Not to say that some.
Yeah, like there's still been mature storylines here or there in the PG era, but obviously they have wanted to keep it family friendly for the most part. So really, those mature storylines were more or less an accident in a lot of ways, but like an accident that they wanted to happen, I suppose. It's a weird way to look at it, but that's kind of the way that I do look at it. But yeah, so having said that, yeah, I do hope that we do get edgier content with, a little more violence, a little bit more blood when needed. Keyword is when needed. For example, Brock Lesnar versus Roman match at SummerSlam needs blood, which will make up for their WrestleMania match this past year that didn't have blood. Yeah, I was really, really annoyed at that, considering that Brock said, I'm coming for blood, and yet there was no blood in the match. So that'll make up for it, obviously, their SummerSlam match now that this is in play. So, yeah, so want to see a bit of blood when needed, obviously. Want to see, some curse words get thrown in there when needed. Like, and obviously you guys know those words. So, yeah, want to see them get implemented when needed. And, the aggression get toned up a little bit, that kind of thing when needed. So, because we don't want it to be like all the time, or one, it doesn't feel special, and secondly of all, and more importantly, it doesn't really give that much significance, and it also doesn't end up feeling realistic or making sense or having logic behind it. So, therefore, I want to see a bit of blood, a bit of cursing, a bit of, aggressive violence, that kind of thing, and it needs to be when needed. So like for the Roman Reigns Brock Lesnar feud, that's technically on SmackDown, that would be very much needed. But like with SummerSlam, like they could, throw in a bit of blood. They can have them bleed and all that jazz. So yeah, it would be definitely needed in that match, for example. So I do hope that we do get that now that we've had this change. But yeah, so based on that, yeah, so I want to see some of that, and it, I mean, they could copy what AEW is doing, but I mean, that's kind of a copy and paste formula at this point, which I don't really want them to be using, and I don't really want them to go back to the well, even how like the ruthless aggression and attitude era was. Just have it come into its own. Like have it be different than all the rest. Have it, like have like the life of those three things, but kind of combine them, so make them something different. That kind of thing. So therefore, it can stand on its own as an error, as, something that everybody looking back can be proud of. Have it kind of be that way.
Of the storylines we've gotten in the past didn't have some adult themes interjected into them, but we all know WWE since 2008 wanted to go the more family friendly route, which
Yes, they
has
did.
worked for them financially, but it's taken.
Yeah, it's worked for them financially. Like, since then, WWE has been financially better and better as the years have gone by since 2008, but obviously, it's kind of hurted the product as well. Like, a lot of fans really, really didn't like that change and literally made Facebook stories and everything in Facebook groups on that where they just start going on crazy tyrant rants saying, "Oh, I miss, TV14. Why did we have to go PG? PG sucks. It doesn't work for wrestling. Blah blah blah." You know, like, you know. So obviously, in that situation, yeah, so a lot of people didn't exactly like the change, and that could be the understatement of the year. So it really, really hurt the product. And even people that still stayed didn't really like the change and would wish that WWE was back to that more violent, kind of aggressive vibe. That wrestling was back to that more violent, aggressive vibe. Because really, in wrestling, that's what you need. I mean, obviously, this is all choreographed and fake and all these other things, but think of this as a scenario in life. Because the way that people talk in life are definitely not PG. I mean, I can say that without a doubt. I'll say things in messages on like Discord and all these other things, and you know, stuff like that. Like, I won't hold back, and even then, the people that are in the Discord server. So, obviously, if obviously you're in the Discord server, you know who the hell you are. But still, people that I talk to on Discord, they don't hold back. So it's just the way it is. That's just how people talk. That's just how it is. Like, when you do something stupid or you tick somebody off or you know you you piss somebody off, like, you're gonna you're gonna get you're gonna get tornadoes of truth coming at you, as Charlie Sheen said. But anyway, you're gonna get you're gonna get all these different words thrown at you, like, and I'm not even gonna repeat them because you guys know what they are anyway. So it'll be just it'll just simply be redundant saying them. But like, you'll get a whole bunch of things thrown back at you because that's just how people are. When you tick off people, they will tick off you. Simple as that. It's not rocket science. So that's just how the world is, and that's obviously how wrestling used to operate. But obviously it hasn't operated that way for the past 14 years for obvious reasons. So now we're obviously going back into that. It obviously does make you wonder, how will this how will that affect the superstars, the characters, more to the point, the storylines moving forward. Like, this will be unbelievable for the storylines and characters. Like, this will work wonders for those, literally wonders. I mean, obviously, in the case of Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, John Cena, Edge, Rey Mysterio, and Randy Orton, don't make a cat in hell's chance of a difference because they're so above the industry than everybody else on the roster that they can literally say whatever they want and it wouldn't really mean a damn. I mean, John Cena said that. I mean, Roman said that John Cena's career was missionary position all over again. So, if he's willing to get away with that, then that's how you know that their hierarchy is higher than everybody else's in the industry on the main roster right now. So they can get away with that, no problemo. But that's why I'm referring to more the ones that are below them, like the Austin, like some of the younger guys and stuff like that. So it'll work wonders for people of that people of that agenda, you know. So it'll definitely have its good and bad, obviously, and we want to try and ease into that, obviously, as well. And we also want to make sure that it's not done all the time because, like I said, it'll make it not that special, plus not that significant, and not that realistic as well, and all those other things I said. So that's basically what we want to not fall into with this transaction, but at the same time, this will work wonders for all the characters and all the promos and everything that happens, all the storylines that go on in WWE moving forward. And even the storylines and promos and matches that are happening like right now on Raw anyway and for SummerSlam right now, like it'll work wonders for it more than likely, but they WWE just needs to be smart about it basically and not, you know, go in there willy-nilly with no plan at all.
It's kind of, I guess you could say, alienated some of the hardcore fans that grew up watching WWE. It's kind of pushed
Yes.
them away because of now they're seeing.
I mean, yeah, because obviously PG kind of opened up the doors to more people knowing, like, wrestling's fake, there's a kayfabe involved in it, blah, 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 you know, all those other things. That kind of opened up more of a door. That opened up more of a door for fans to realize that, and furthermore, and more than anything else, it obviously had them turn away from WWE, so therefore, you know, watching UFC, watching stuff like that, or like real fighting businesses, or even AEW that goes pretty hard on the whole not sticking to PG thing. So that's kind of the thing. Like that's obviously what fans have done over the years. They've tuned out of WWE because they don't like the PG change, and therefore they've gone wandering off to UFC and watching that, and then later AEW when that started. So it's obviously a cycle that has happened over the years, and it's obviously progressively and really, really badly gotten worse over time. So if they obviously do change that TV14 rating, which they obviously are in any case, I think it's definitely been the talk of the town, so it's more than likely that it will happen. Then they may get fans back that they lost back in 2008 and years since. Like they may get them back, which will be really really obviously nice for them because well ratings have been definitely not brilliant in the last load of years. I mean, sure, WWE's profits and everything like that have been better than ever, but their ratings, oh boy, I don't know whether they look at them at all, but they are not pretty. Not to the extent that they were back in the day when you look at the holding pattern and how viewership is with WWE nowadays versus like I suppose we can just say 14 years ago or really 18 years ago. So or longer ago. So I mean, yeah, just it just is a vicious cycle that's obviously gone on for a while, and I think them now going back to the well and going back to TV14, I think will break that cycle in a lot of ways, but I don't think we'll break it well and truly. We'll have to see because we don't know for sure because this is only the start of it. We don't know what's going to happen, obviously.
Like these kiddie type scenarios or these family friendly type scenarios, and it just doesn't hit the same. With AEW,
Yeah, it really, really doesn't. Like, I enjoy, a laugh. I enjoy the kiddie things. It's fine. It's whatever. But I prefer some of the stuff that obviously happened back in the day because it was more interesting to obviously look back on, I guess, in perspective, obviously, because I wasn't around then. So, therefore, like, it's a lot more fun to look back at those than watching the product being viewed to us today. So, that's just the way it is, because that's how it was back. That's obviously how WWE was obviously functioning back then, or WWF, if you want to go back really, really far. But yeah, like that's how it was functioning, obviously, and there you go. It's obviously how it is. But that's the thing. Obviously, times have changed, and therefore they weren't functioning on that same level no more. So therefore, they did go down the kid-friendly route. Then again, what choice did they really have?
They knew from the gate what they were trying to do. They wanted to tap into the hardcore fans, which works. That's why they started.
Yeah, they obviously did their thing, AEW did, and therefore viewers that hadn't watched wrestling in years got back into it. So, fair play to obviously them. They've obviously stuck to something that works. So, like I said, fair play to them. But, yeah, so in that situation, yeah, so obviously those fans would have more than likely been WWE fans, like, obviously 15, maybe 18 years ago, and then obviously jump shipped years later when AEW did start. So, yeah, so in that situation, it's just one of those things where it's just it's just a vicious cycle, basically. So, and it's happened for obviously over a decade, so. Yeah, it's obviously not been pretty, but that's kind of been the way it has been.
Off with a TV14 radio or rating, but with WWE, it's always been more about trying to get these sponsorships and sell merch to the kids. Which nothing wrong with that. Get to the bag.
Yeah, like you can sell, merch to kids. That's fine. They'll eat that up like it's the greatest day ever. Like they just won the lottery or something. Like it's fine. Go ahead, shoot your shot, Amy. But obviously, while they've been doing that and obviously making loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of money over the years, the shows haven't exactly lived up to that same. Obviously, it's obviously not lived up to how much is actually happening with WWE and the amount of money that they're making. They've they've not really lived up to that a lot. So yeah, this was kind of really, really needed. And fans knew that for a long, long time, which is why they really, really didn't like the change. So, there you go.
But I hope this is a good start to some change within I guess you could say, the storyline and the characters that are on these shows. Because when it's all said and done,
Yeah.
this is supposed to be a choreographed fight.
Yeah.
Me personally, if I'm trying to fight someone for a chance,
Yeah, take me, for example, or Ross, or any person whatsoever. Sure, some storylines, yeah, fine, we'll, fight over it, friendly, and all these other things, but that rarely ever happens, or rarely should happen. If I'm fighting for a championship, I'm not going to be Mr. Nice Guy. I'm going to, say, like, I'm going to kick your ass, or, like, something like that. Like, I'm going to be, vulgar. I'm going to, shoot my shot. I'm going to do this and that. I'm going to, say things that, may be controversial, like, simple as that, because that's just how it is. Like, you don't go all friendly on people when you're trying to get a championship. You take it, and you take it like it's you literally take it like you're taking somebody's heart away, or dignity, or pride. Like you spare no expense. Like you take no prisoners. Like you take no bull. Like you take note. You take note. Simple as that.
championship. I'm not trying to be friendly. I'm not trying to be buddy buddy. I'm out there to try to kick your ass and win that title. Now let's
Yeah,
add a
exactly.
storyline to it. Maybe you cost me the title. Maybe you tried to injure me. I've always
yeah, let's say somebody tried to cost me the title and all these other things, or somebody tried to injure me or end my career. I would literally want to straight up kill them, assassinate them, literally make them bleed in a blood of their own vomit and blood, like literally, because they pick a fight with me, you're gonna get a fight back. That's what any normal person would do because you get affected by these things, and therefore you react in a way that may not be healthy for you, but definitely ain't gonna be healthy physically for the person in front of it. That's for sure. So that's just what a normal person would do.
Felt if someone tries to injure me, whenever I do come back, my set goal is to try to end your career. And sometimes when you do that, blood may be present.
Yeah, exactly. Like you ain't gonna take no prisoners, whether or not you're trying to make somebody bleed or not. Like you just go for the kill. You shoot your shot. Like you do this and that. So obviously that whole thing in wrestling is very very sorely missed most of the time. I mean, it still comes every once in a blue moon, but very very rarely does it happen, and it's kind of been sorely missing for a long long time in my mind. Because of course WWE banned that years ago, so probably a year after they switched PG, so probably like 2009 or something. So it's obviously sorely missing in any case.
There may be some flaming tables. There may be, a little bit of carnage there because you're trying to fight somebody, depending on the stipulation.
Yeah, like literally, like depending on the stipulation, you want to use a flaming table, chairs, ladders, the holy grail. You want to literally pack as much weapons as possible and just simply use them and make them feel your pain. You want to unleash the demon, unleash the devil, unleash the monster inside of you, and literally go rogue. That's literally what you want to do. And yeah, so that whole situation of wrestling still does happen from time to time, but not to the extent that it used to. When looking back at obviously the Ruthless Aggression era or the Attitude era compared to the PG era.
So I feel like you can kind of add a little bit color to some of these stipulation matches, which
Yeah,
honestly makes the match overall better. And in a
like Hell in a Cell. Think about all the blood that would be pouring out of people's heads or on the cell or something like that. Like that would be graphic. Don't get me wrong. That would be violent. That would be vicious. But that's what we need. That's what we need with these like no disqualification type match stipulations. Like we want because I mean let's face it, stuff like Hell in a Cell are used to end a blood feud, pretty much. So when you say the words blood feud, you kind of instantly think, oh, there's going to be blood, but obviously we haven't thought of that because WWE haven't used it in ages. Pardon me, guys. WWE haven't used it in ages, and therefore we've been so used to it that it's never really bothered us that much. But that's what would be really, really needed because that's what I mean. Like Hell in a Cell and stuff like that are used to end a blood feud usually, not just strapping it on every Hell in a Cell random pay per view every year whenever the hell they want. Like it's not really supposed to be used for that. Like it was tailor made for situations like that. Like that's why we had Undertaker versus Mankind and Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels inside of Hell in a Cell when Kane debuted. Kane made his iconic debut anyway. Or you get what I mean. Like when Kane made his iconic debut is basically what I'm trying to say. Like you literally stuff like that was built. Literally stuff like that made Hell in a Cell into what it's supposed to be. What we wrestling fans think of when we think of the word like Hell in a Cell and the structure and the stipulation or any like hardcore stipulation. Like we think about stuff like that because of moments like that or those. So like because of moments like those, like of course, Taker throwing Mick off the Hell in a Cell, like I previously mentioned. Like we literally build our mind around these moments because these are what shaped the Hell in a Cell structure and other hardcore matches to be how we see them in our minds, and that being, all violent, gory, bloody, and all these other things. Like, that's how we basically see it. Basically, that's literally how we see it.
Sense of hardcoreness, well, not hardcoreness, but in the sense of like in the realm of reality, you
Yeah,
know, having a Hell in a Cell match and there's not really much blood from each wrestler. It not to say it's a bad thing because we've gotten so used to it, but
yeah,
it add that little color, that little flavor to it could definitely enhance the overall.
We all want the best of
yeah.
life, so let's celebrate while we still can.
Okay, I didn't need
Feud,
that.
in my personal opinion.
But yeah, it will excel. It will excel at feuds and match stipulations like that. Definitely.
It doesn't have to be gratuitous. Don't have to be buckets of blood and all this other stuff. You don't have to go too crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be that. At least, a bit, like, to give the vibe that, it's been a war and all these other things. Like, these guys have been beaten to hell, literally and figuratively. So, they don't have to go, like, crimson red on us a lot of the time, if any of the time. But, obviously, adding that little flavor would help a lot, big time.
But to give that sense of like this was a battle, this was a war, this was intense. So I think this TV14 rating opens up the door for them to really get into their adult themes. Like that's really I
Definitely.
think could possibly help the company just in a whole to gain some of the
I mean, I watch a lot of like adult, TV shows on different things and everything like that, and yeah, they explore the realm and the ventures of adult themes and everything. So, and obviously WWE are no stranger to doing that in the past, so they can easily go down that route again now that they've put TV14 on their little, shows now in obviously in case with Monday Night Raw. So they can obviously do that now.
fans that they've lost to AEW or people that just don't watch wrestling anymore. People that prefer to watch UFC. Because UFC is bloody. Like they're
Yeah,
beating the crap
exactly.
out of each other. Faces is damn near 10.
Yeah, like they're literally dying for the cause, literally dying for the cause, and everybody digs it. Literally digs it, both literally and figuratively, considering that their skin is pretty much digging off the corpse of their bodies, basically. So obviously, surprisingly, not a lot of people have ended up being sent to the morgue because of that. But obviously, that's what fans, love. That's what they want to see. They want to see people get beaten to hell and everything. That's just how it is. And obviously, they moved on because WWE wasn't giving that because they switched PG. So obviously, UFC was like next best thing, and then AEW came in as well.
Turn off. But people want to see that. People want to see combat. People want to see two fighters go at it. And I'm not saying WWE has to do.
Yeah, like think of it like Mortal Kombat, but without the fatalities. Like people want to see, like straight up fights, kind of like people want to see combat. People want to see like that. Obviously, this is all choreographed and fake, but still, people want to see that, and people bought into that whole situation. Back in the 2000s and the 90s, like people will tell you that lived that era that was the case, but obviously things are so much different now. But I still think that WWE can obviously still do that. It's obviously going to start in humbled beginnings, clearly, but it'll eventually venture out into something truly amazing. I think if they play their cards right.
That, but I'm saying it just opens up that space, that realm of, oh man, they're about to have a Hell in a Cell match, or they're about to have a TLC match. There may be some blood there. You know what I'm saying? Or prime
Yeah.
example, a last man standing match. We've been joking for weeks now with Roman. Well, I know
Yeah, I know that I've been joking about it a little bit here or there that Brock wants to kill Roman. Well, joke about it no more because he's going to get that opportunity in more ways than one now that this has come out. In more ways than one. We were literally on about it literally a little while ago in this video on about that. So, yeah. Obviously it's no longer a joke now. I'm definitely curious to see what'll happen with like the female superstars. Like will like something like will some of their feuds end up with them bleeding from the forehead or like something like that? Like will something like that happen? Because obviously in WWE games they usually don't want to promote like women's violence and all these other things and them getting busted open. They usually don't want to promote that, but obviously now that WWE have done this, will that happen? You know, definitely an interesting thought. And furthermore, not only that, think about like 2K and like their next WWE game next year. Like will they go down that route? You know, because there's a lot of parties and everything that had to agree to this whole situation. Like you're thinking of Fox, you're thinking of the USA Network, you're thinking of Mattel, you're thinking of 2K, like all these different companies that have something to do with the WWE have obviously got to agree to this. So all these different parties over the course of God knows how many years obviously had to agree with this, or they wouldn't be happening. So best case scenario is they've all agreed, or so this wouldn't be coming out, and people wouldn't be making videos about it like me, Ross, See Wrestling, and Wrestling Gifts have obviously done in the span of 48 hours, I suppose you could say. So yeah, like obviously they've agreed with this, or none of this stuff would be happening.
I've been joking. Roman and Brock Lesnar, they're having this last man standing match. I want them to try to murder each other. I want there to be a flaming table. I want to see blood. Well, we may not get the flaming table, but we may see some blood at their
Yes.
match this year for SummerSlam, which I think is fine. Granted, we've seen them, we've seen Roman and Brock bleed in the past, so you can say, well, that doesn't help any bit, but you get the point. You get what I'm saying. Just adding that little bit of edginess could help, and certain characters.
Yeah, we will talk a lot more about that Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns SummerSlam match, even though technically I did post a video about that literally last month, but we will go into more detail about that saga later on because I'll be filming a video to do with Super Geek Studios video on that saga, and you'll get my points on what I think of the feud and everything like that, and the whole big feud that has been going on for the last 8 years. So you'll obviously get that, but there you go.
In the company or wrestlers in the company have the benefit of being able to be edgy because of their position in the company. And what I mean by that is
Yeah,
now that we're going with TV14 radio,
yeah. Obviously, I mentioned that literally a little while ago in this same video. Literally mentioned it.
rating, we could possibly get better promos, more realistic, authentic promos where people may curse a little bit more. I'm not saying you
Yeah,
gotta curse every 5 seconds, but they can kind of get their stuff off. And we're not just talking about the Roman Reigns, the Brock Lesnar's, and the John Cena's. These guys, they can literally go out there, damn near say whatever, they'll be fine. You know what I'm saying? Because it's the status.
yeah. Like they'll get away with anything because that's just how far up they are in the hierarchy of wrestling talent and the roster right now in WWE. So they'll get away with that just fine, like I said before.
Of where they at in the company. Randy Orton's one of those people as well, and Edge. But you can incorporate more people into that group of they can kind of get off their more aggressive or edgy side. Like for example, I want to paint a scenario. Say, for example, you're over there in a championship match, and all of a sudden someone interferes. They interfere in your championship match. They cost you the match, and then they injure you, which we've seen plenty of times storyline wise. They injure you. You
Yeah.
off for a few weeks. You come back. You come back. You attack them. You try to brutalize them. Hell, you even bust them open. You cause them to bleed, which
Yeah.
would be awesome. And then y'all setting up a match.
Like one of the craziest things that I've seen on the confines of SmackDown, where somebody has literally come back to haunt them and literally tried to literally brutalize them, was what happened with the Edge and Seth Rollins feud, where basically they tried to basically kill each other. More to the point, Edge trying to kill Seth, and he was basically using a wire to, I think, choke Rollins out at one point or something. So that's definitely one of the craziest ones that have happened in the PG era, in my opinion. But obviously, there's many more.
Or feud, and you say, what I did to this person, this is only the beginning. They screwed me out of a title match. I don't want no regular match. He tried to end my career, so I want a unsanctioned match. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
exactly.
No holds barred match. And I'm gonna kick your ass. I'm gonna beat the living, they'll probably have to bleep the S word out, but they can get that off. Or I'm beat you like a dog. I'm get more aggressive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like they can totally get aggressive. They can be like, "I'll, clap you so hard you'll be going back to like 1999 or something like that." Like they could go that direction. They could be that aggressive. So yeah, they could totally end up that way.
I'm gonna mess you up. Like, y'all get what I'm saying? Like, just more on the edgier side, because as a character, you would be mad. They try to end your career and they cost you a title. I'm not a big fan of hearing I'm gonna kick your butt. It's over for you, pal. You're going down. Like, they're overly scripted.
Yeah.
Like these PG
Yeah,
generic.
it almost, in a way, either makes you want to laugh or makes you want to cringe. That's literally what it ends up making you want to do out of those two things. Literally makes you want to do one of those two things. So, yeah, and that's just not how it works. Like, fights don't end up being that way, especially verbal fights. Like, they just aren't like that.
Lines. Like, nobody talks like that in real life. If you screw me over, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna mess you up. I'm gonna do some bad things to you. And there may be some curse words there. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I think this overall is a good step in the right direction. Now, the only caveat.
Yeah, this will really, really help the WWE in the long run, especially with those characters and storylines and such.
Yeah, to this whole thing, before I end this video, Vince McMahon is still running things. Vince McMahon is still running the shows. They still have the same writers out there.
Very, very
Not
true.
to say that all the writers that they have are bad, but some of the writers that WWE hires, they definitely don't know a lick about wrestling. Not really. So,
yeah,
none of this really matters if the right people don't.
Yeah, you got to make sure that you're booking the shows right and it's actually going in the right direction. Because it can just say TV14, but it wouldn't mean jack because, well, the shows wouldn't really be good shows, basically. They would just be pretty much trash. So, obviously, you want to make sure that, obviously, those writers and everything are actually good and they're doing great storylines and booking them in a way that's logical, which has been very, very hit and miss over the years with WWE as a whole. So you want to make sure that that's obviously apparent in that situation.
Get pushed, younger talent don't get pushed, and they don't actually start enhancing these storylines so these characters can get over. None of this matters, because you can have a TV 14 rating and still produce a bad show. You can have the ability to be more edgier, but you still make the same mistakes booking wise. You know what I'm saying? Not putting people.
Yeah, this could literally also break WWE because, well, they would just be producing more cringier things. But if they can make it work, then swell. Like, they've got gold.
Over that need to be pushed, not letting these wrestlers. I think they need to let these wrestlers put more faith in these wrestlers to cut their own promos, make their own promos, and
That's a hell
give
of an
them
idea.
guidelines and let them go out there and be themselves. I
Yeah.
think that's what we need to see more.
As long as you give them, guidelines on what not to say, then they will thrive. They will totally thrive. They'll do their thing. They'll act like themselves. They'll act like normal people, and it will be, all fandabby-dozy. But obviously, not a lot of the talent get that privilege. Not a lot of them. Some of them do, but not a lot of them. Not a lot of them.
More of. We need to see less of the micromanaging, more of the wrestlers doing their job, being wrestlers, giving them a chance,
Yeah.
giving them that opportunity to
Exactly.
get their character over, and that's what the real test is going to be. But we're heading in the
Hell
right direction.
yes.
So I do think this is a win. I will see how things play.
There's definitely much more pros than cons to this whole situation. That much I can say.
Out. So, I want to ask you guys a question. Monday Night Raw is coming up, and I usually don't stream Monday Night Raw unless it's like a go home show or the show after a pay per view. I may stream it, but I may do a live stream reaction of this Monday Night Raw since it's going to.
Yeah, I recommend that you check out Kicking In with Ross's stream or anybody else that's streaming their reaction to Monday Night Raw come literally next week. I do recommend that you check like one of those streamers out because you probably won't regret it in that case being. So I do definitely recommend that.
Be the first Raw in
the
many,
grand
many
scheme of
years that's going to have a
things.
TV-14 rating. Granted, I know
Exactly.
probably not going to have too much of a big shift in how they run the show, but we will see.
Yeah.
If there is any type of noticeable change. So, what I want y'all to
Yeah,
do,
this
let
Raw
me
is
know.
gonna be
If
a
you guys
big,
want
big
me to
test.
do a live stream reaction
big,
on
big
Monday,
test.
I will make sure I try to set some time to do a live stream reaction of Monday Night Raw just to see if they have made any subtle changes or any changes at all since the rating is now TV-14. And I also want to know
Exactly.
down below what your guys' thoughts and opinions on this. Do you guys think this will create some type of change within the company? Or do you guys think just because they changed the rating?
I feel like it will, but obviously, like I said, they're going to have to ease into it. So, yeah, that's obviously going to be quite apparent in the next load of weeks up to, well, a month tops. That's going to be quite apparent. So, yeah.
It's going to overall be more or less the same stuff. Let me know. I really want to know what you guys think about this. But this is really exciting. I'm really interested to see how all of this plays out, and this could be potentially what WWE may have needed to create.
Yeah, like I'm all for it. I'm all here for it. Like, sign me up. Like, it'll be very, very interesting to see what actually occurs. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this this video, then like, comment, subscribe, share the videos, favorite videos. If we could get up to 150 likes or whatever goal that we were trying to reach before, then that'll be great. And yeah, ciao guys.